trong bất cứ một cái nghịch cảnh nào, kể cả khi là mình vấp ngã nhiều nhất hay là có một cái điều gì đó nó bất hạnh đến với nhà mình thì mình cũng phải cố gắng vượt qua. Vì có những người ta bị khuyết tật bẩm sinh, nhưng cũng có những người ta là bị một cái tai nạn gì đó mới bị khuyết tật, thì cũng phải cố gắng lên, phải nhìn vào những cái tấm gương đi trước mà noi theo để mình không trở thành gánh nặng cho xã hội cũng như gia đình.
Those are the very sincere sharings from a blind employee at Noa Dining in the Dark restaurant. In a small alley on Hai Bà Trưng Street, Đa Cao Quad, District 1, Ho Chi Minh City, a chain of high-end restaurants and services directly served and interacted with customers by the disabled was founded by Vũ Anh Tú and Germ Donbros. Including Noa Dining in the Dark, the restaurant is served by blind staff. Long restaurant employing deaf and hearing impaired service team. Flower shop run by hearing impaired florists. Noa Spa and Noa Coffee in the Dark. All of that is not just a community business model, but has become a journey of social dedication through full sensory experiences.
Welcome to Sharing Vietnam on VTC 10 at Việt channel. Today, we would like to introduce to you Mr. Kergum Dornbos, the co-founder of The Journey of the Senses, a chain of restaurants and high-class service where the blind directly interact and serve the customers. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much for asking.
Is Dining in the Dark the beginning of our Journey of the Senses?
Yes, actually it is. We started with the Dining in the Dark restaurant in 2014, 10 October 2014. So we started with Noir Dining in the Dark first, and at the time we did not really know that we would have eventually so many projects. But my partner Vu Anh Tu and I, we started in 2014 with Dining in the Dark first. Dining in the Dark is nothing really new in the world. In Vietnam it is, we're the one and only. But in the world there's more Dining in the Dark restaurants. But it's not a chain. All of those restaurants are totally different from one another. It started originally in Switzerland in 1999, and since then quite a few of these restaurants open up, mainly in Europe. But there's a few here in Asia as well. And we went to one of those, and that gave us the idea to start in Vietnam. At the time, it was not available, so I'm very happy that we did. And it's a very interesting concept. For our guests, they eat in the dark. You don't see anything. You cannot even see the hand in front of your face. It's so dark that you don't see anything. So therefore, when you're eating your meal, you will be much more focused on taste and smell. So for the guests, it's a very unique experience. But for our staff, for our blind and visually impaired service staff, it's job opportunities at the same time. Unfortunately, there is about 90% unemployment rate for blind and visually impaired people in Vietnam.
Yes.
Very high stigma, very low awareness, so it's very hard for them to find proper jobs. But they can do a lot, and that is why we wanted to give them a job in a restaurant. And when you put then the blind staff and sighted guests in the same room, and the blind staff are serving our guests, it does create awareness as well for our guests, so they understand better how capable the blind people actually are.
Yes. So how about the idea of the Journey of the Senses?
Yes, so we started with the restaurant Dining in the Dark first, and then in the lounge of the restaurant we already started hiring some deaf and hearing impaired staff to help with the service of drinks and to do some extra assistance in the lighted part of the restaurant, the lit part of the restaurant. But then we had still some space in the restaurant available for a second restaurant, and we always wanted to do something more. So then we thought that it would be nice for the deaf and hearing impaired staff to have their own restaurant, and that became Blanc Restaurant. So noir means black in French, and blanc means white. And the location of our restaurant is an old French house, old French villa, so we thought it would be nice to taken then a French name. But then we started with Blanc restaurant, and then that is in the light, so guests can see what they're eating.
Yes.
But then we ask our guests to communicate and order their meals in sign language.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
with the
in
gestures.
Yeah, in sign language. So that's the language of the deaf people themselves. So we're going to ask the guests to order their meal, for instance, chicken
Yes.
or fish.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we don't speak inside the restaurant.
No, you can speak with each other. We're not going to ask you not to speak. Of course, dining is still very much about sharing. Like you want to have a good time, you want to laugh, you want to exchange your stories. That's totally fine. But it's just that you need to communicate with the staff in their language, in sign language. Yeah. So we have pictograms in the menu. There's a little guidebook at the table to assist you with the sign language. Yeah. And that's very, yeah, then we have also, again, interaction. So in Dining in the Dark, we have interaction with the blind staff. But now in Blanc restaurant, we have then interaction with the deaf staff. So you're actually suddenly dependent on them. Yes. And suddenly you need to learn their language. Where normally in society, they're very much dependent on other people. But now actually we make you, as a hearing person, dependent on the deaf staff. And then we continue with 2 more projects. Last year we opened a flower shop, La Hua.
A flower shop?
Yeah, La Hua Flower Speak. So that is a flower shop where we have deaf florists. And we're going to make little greeting cards, not in a traditional handwritten way, but in video clips with sign language. So if you have a personal message what you want to send along with the flowers, we'll make a little video clip in sign language.
It's super creative.
Yeah, and you can scan it with a QR code, so that is then the idea. And we started last year as well with Noir Spa, and in the spa we offer massage services by a team of blind and visually impaired massage therapists.
In Vietnam, the unemployment rate for the blind and the hearing impaired is up to 94%, and in Ho Chi Minh City, the number reached to 4,000 people. Although it is not something too big, but Jerm and Du have joined hands to contribute to creating jobs for the disabled community here. Thanks to the job, they can be financially independent, reduce the economic burden on their families, and have the right to decide their own lives.
Dạ, thì giới thiệu với chị nhé. Đây là bạn Triết, rồi thì bạn Triết sẽ hỗ trợ mình trong buổi chiều ngày hôm nay.
Chào bạn Triết, chào mình là Huệ.
Chào chị Huệ nhé. Rồi bây giờ chị vui lòng đặt hai tên của em và em sẽ chị.
So I think that the journey of 6 years here is you have experienced a lot of things. So
Yes.
can you share with us about the difficulties that you have encountered along the way?
Right. It is. A lot of people ask us, like, what is it difficult to do a business like this? I think any type of business has its difficulties. You need to. I mean, yeah, it's never easy, and of course we make it not easy for ourselves by doing a concept that has never done before, and none of us worked with deaf and blind people before, so it is suddenly very new for all of us. But that makes it actually very exciting, and everybody is very interested in learning new things.
Experience?
Yes, exactly. So therefore it is actually not so difficult. Also for our blind and deaf staff, for most of them it is the first job they ever have. So they're very excited themselves as well. None of them have experience, no knowledge in hospitality, I mean. But then they're very excited because now they are in a situation where they can show how capable They are. And that makes it then very, very excited for our guests.
They are very
and for
enthusiastic
exactly,
with
exactly.
what they do.
Yeah. So that is then not very difficult, but sometimes it's a bit difficult to convince people that we are not like a gimmick or like a novelty. That's why we really want to focus on a restaurant experience or a real spa experience. Yep.
Yes, so you're talking about you want to prove your real quality of the restaurant and also other
Exactly, yeah, and we really want to showcase that it is not impossible for a blind or a deaf person to work in a restaurant or in a spa. They can do. Yeah. We always focus so much on what you can't do. If you can't see, well, it will be hard for us because we're very dependent on sight. But if you can't see, you still have 4 senses left, and they heighten a lot, and therefore a blind person can do a lot of things actually way better than we can. It's just that we don't really focus on that because we normally don't think about that. So that is why we like to show that it is definitely possible to work with a team of blind and deaf staff in a restaurant.
I think that's really unfair if you judge somebody just because they don't have one of the senses that normal people do.
Indeed. And we always focus on what people cannot do, but we never seem to understand that there's still a lot they still can do.
Yes. And I think that you are teaching people, you educate people to build a trust for people, right?
Yes, exactly.
And that is really great to me. So, as I know, you are the first one who built up the model of dining in the dark in Vietnam, right?
Yes.
So, what did you do to make people become loyal?
But we have a lot of guests who are coming from overseas. Most of our guests are from the Asian region, from Australia, from Europe. We have quite most of our guests come from overseas. So most of the guests come one time and most likely never come back. So, but we do actually have quite a lot of guests living here in Vietnam and in Ho Chi Minh City who are actually coming quite often as returning guests, yes. So what we really want, we don't want to get people the idea that we are a gimmick or a novelty. So we really want to focus on professionalism. We really want to show that it is a restaurant experience or hospitality experience. So therefore we want to focus on great service, great food. Of course it's up to the guests to decide, but the philosophy of the place is indeed to take care as guests, as guests, indeed. So we want to make sure that it is a professional restaurant. It is a unique experience, and for some guests that can be a little bit strange, especially dining in the dark. That is sometimes, for some people, a little bit strange, but it's true, because we are very much used to light. It's always around us, and if we have no light, then we turn it on, or we bring light along with us as a flashlight or so. But if there's no light, you get a little bit, you feel strange, and that's totally true. We're not used to that, but therefore we want to make the guests feel at ease. So before dinner they will play a little game, and we will give a proper briefing on what to expect. And then again, just focus on professionalism, make sure that there's nothing strange in the menu, for instance. The people feel at ease, and therefore they will take it more, they're more likely to enjoy the experience, because it is very fascinating.
I have to say that congratulations, because you have built up a lot of beautiful things here, because you sent a lot of meaningful messages for the people.
Thank you. Yeah.
And thank you for joining us today with the valuable information.
Thank you very much. Xin chào, and I'm very happy to be here.
The time for the show is up. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.